Hello, 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 and welcome to Bourbon Street Bookers. This is usually done on a Monday, but we had to make sure we got Miss Joan in here tonight. So this Sunday night is all about her. So welcome and thank you for joining us tonight, Joan.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you
Praise
guys
God.
for working with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And for the first time ever in Bourbon Street Booker's history, we have a male reader in the house. Y'all know my brother Earon Randle. I am so
Hello.
excited to have you on this platform tonight. Welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Y'all know it is so important to have everybody's perspective, but when we got a black brother's perspective and this black excellence when it comes to this Author Joan Vassar, because y'all know we've been cutting up these last few weeks, haven't we?
We really have.
Hey y'all, look at Tara. Tara's in the audience. Tara says she ain't had time for my shenanigans tonight. We got Indy Love in the house. Thank y'all for joining us. Oh Lord, Alicia's here. Okay. And of course, Lisa's here. We're so excited to see y'all. Hey, Monica. Thank y'all for sharing, joining us. Shalette. Y'all, I'm even with my glasses on, I'm still squinching to see. I got to get these glasses adjusted. Hey, Tosh. It is so exciting. We're going to get started. And we're not focusing specifically on any one book. Let me also tell y'all some exciting news in case y'all didn't see in the notes. Hey, Chanel, baby, how about I have made the official I'm complete with, I'd read all of Joan books club. Okay. So, Lisa, I got to catch up on the autographed copies and stuff, the hard print. But baby, I am now, listen, I just finished Introduction to Love and Self with my boy, with Lisa in 7. That was an interesting story. Yes. Thank you, Tara. Yeah, that was a big deal for me, huh? And your catalog is the first catalog I went through the entire thing with Audibles.
Wow.
Let me tell y'all, to say I'm a diamond, I ain't gonna lie. I had to confess that in there. I ain't know what they meant by Jacoby's voice. I know now. I
Oh
know
my
not.
goodness.
Oh, baby. I mean, Loving Africa. Then I got it for all of the books. And unfortunately, Francine, listen, Troy might as well go on and go to the fort too.
Let me tell you something. Don't get Earon started on that book.
Don't get me started now, because I'm gonna tell you, our 38 hot.
This
You, it,
was
it, it's a
amazing.
great book.
It is. It was. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Initially, I was a bit troubled.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, niggas ain't got nothing else. They got audacity. And Troy had some audacity, y'all.
Right. Right.
No, he didn't.
Earon don't start. He has some goddamn audacity.
She said, Earon, don't start.
Why you feel he has some audacity?
Come on now. Come on. First of all, don't think you doing me no favor, sir. You said you saved me, but did you really save me for
He
your
did
goddamn
save
self?
her. He did save her.
Yes, indeed. And then y'all know, listen, even if you ain't see me in the comments, y'all saw Alicia on the feed. Y'all know how she is.
Right.
But Alicia and darling Nikki Nola cut up
They
for
did.
Lisa. I'm just telling the truth. If I'm not telling the truth, then I'll shut up. But I ain't lying. Because I was in her inbox early in the morning, and I have to be to work, y'all, for like 7:00. So 6:00 in the morning, which I know she's on Eastern time zone, so it shouldn't be too bad. It's like 7:00 already. But baby, I was like, what is wrong with this nigga? And
You
then
know what?
when it came to Callie, I had to explain to Earon. I had to give him my perspective. Then I really had to defend my opinion to these folks about Callie. Now I'm on the fence because I even did a brief reread, and I was like, but I called Callie out her name a couple of times. I was like, girl, stop lying. You ain't gonna hurt him if he mess around. Because guess what?
I don't know now.
Oh my
I don't know
God.
now.
I don't believe him.
I believe him.
Snatch her up. Y'all know what? I'm tripping. I'm sitting here reading the comments off my phone. This Tots, y'all. Talking about Troy, of course. Jumping at readers that's really concerned about your well-being. That's Khalees. Why y'all didn't
Khalees.
stream
I'm
me up
doing
right
a
now?
little bit better. I am doing a little bit better. It's slow going. COVID changed from COVID to a double ear infection and a throat infection. So I've been just going at it, just trying to get better. Yeah,
And
it's
thank
been
God
a
for his
slow
healing
month.
hand. Yes, he is healing. Y'all hear how she sounds. She's getting much better.
Yeah, at
When
one
we went
point I
on,
didn't have a voice.
yeah, on
Absolutely.
Clubhouse, you could hear it. Your voice was going then.
Yeah.
Y'all know who this is, right? Without me even saying how that's Lisa talking about her man.
Oh.
Child.
Now that's the thing. Troy might have had some audacity, but Ernest didn't.
Who didn't?
Ernest. Y'all gotta realize he is two different people.
You know what? So he got split personalities around here.
Yeah,
But
he
I
definitely has a split personality.
I definitely could relate. So, I could understand his need to be somebody else when he was dealing with them folk, right?
Yeah.
And when he was dealing with his own people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can certainly see that. So yeah, that was definitely important.
And then when they bleed over to one another, there's always somebody that's there to check it.
With
like Butch. Like Butch told him, you need to calm down before you come in this house.
This is
He asked
Tia.
him,
Tia
are
said
you
she
checking
like
me?
him, but not like Lisa. So I don't think nobody like him like Lisa. He need to snatch up. Talk about she gonna be creeping on Peachtree.
But yeah, it was like when I started reading it, I was like, wait a minute. Like, is he gonna kidnap her or what is he doing? And then as the story developed, I was like, she casually mentioned this book to me.
Casually,
Do
I
she
know,
not
right?
know the impact this book has? And like I had to let her know, like, this is a gem right here. This is everything.
It was indeed.
It's gonna always be in my top 5. Always.
So this book was written because dark romance is a thing, and people like dark romance. I don't feel that dark romance is really accepted in the Black community. And so when I wrote the book, it was just really to have fun. I didn't actually think anybody would read this book. I really wrote it more for myself and just trying to get away from and maybe take a break on the Black series is what I was trying to do. And then here I am now.
Man, that's a hell of a break.
I'm getting ready. I'm finishing up a book now and getting ready to write book 2. And I'm writing a novella for Butch and Jewel. And
Really?
yes. And
They get a
so
story, y'all. Wait,
yes.
novella. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, it's probably
You
gonna be
know what?
about.
I'm glad somebody else said it besides
I
me.
had to listen. It took a minute for it to set in. But novella. How you give us all this that you've been giving us and then do a novella?
Well, it's a prequel to Unfortunately Francine, and then I'm headed to book two. People have asked about the characters, book Butch and Jewel, and so I was going to tell a novella
Okay.
of about 25,000 words.
Oh, child, I can work with that.
Yeah, about
I can work with
25,000
that.
words. Yeah, about their story. I was trying to see if I can post the cover. Let me see if I can find it.
Ooh. Does it
In,
let you do that? It will sure do let you do a present.
I'm gonna post it in Bourbon Street Bookers.
Hey, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
I didn't think I liked dark romance either, and I wouldn't have even classified that. I read what I like, and I mean, sometimes depending on the author. So let me tell y'all another confession in case y'all don't know. I don't really care for male authors. I don't know why.
Wow.
I don't know why. But I've read a few books not knowing that it was a male and loved it. So I was like,
Right.
hey, what is your problem? Yeah, I've been checking myself.
She said I've been checking myself.
I've been checking myself.
Have you ever read the Animal series
By what's his
by
name? Start
Quan?
with K? Nah. Allegra has.
Th- This is what throws a lot of people off about um that series. You can't just read the 5 books that's in the series.
Uh-huh.
It's like 14 other books that tie into it. In order for you to really grasp the meaning of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a great series. I was surprised. I didn't think I was gonna like it because of all the tie-in books,
Uh-huh.
but I did. Um, it there's a few like Ty Marshall that I've liked. Um, it's one more I can't think of his name, but I'll remember it and I'll shoot it to you.
Well, we
But
definitely gonna have to jump into that. You have to throw it in the group so we can check it out. Maybe have Alicia test it out for us.
yeah,
What book out the fourth series do you think was your favorite? Whose story do you think was your favorite?
Anthony.
Interesting. John, which one was do you have a favorite?
No, I think in the beginning I did. And if I had a favorite, it would have probably been Elbert. But what happens is when you're moving through a series that's intense like this one,
Mm-hmm.
um, I felt the burden more than fun, especially as I was getting toward um, the last book, because Black is an intelligent character, very organized. I'm not, and so I had to think along the lines of first being male and being organized, which I'm none of those things. So this was a hard series to write. This series took me 8 years to write.
And you know what? That's a great point that you made. So I'm gonna ask the one male that we have that was into this. How did you feel about how she wrote? I mean, like she said, she's not a man, right? But you couldn't have told me those wasn't black. Those black and all those guys, they weren't real folks. Like that wasn't real brothers that was speaking the way Joan wrote this.
She
How did you feel
depicted
about that?
she depicted black men perfectly in the struggles and the joys that we share and the brotherhoods that we form. Um, that's part of the reason why Anthony was my favorite was because of he took on the characteristics of Black, Albert, Otis, and James.
Hmm.
He took on all their characteristics because he was basically he was their little brother,
Right.
him and Luke. So
Mm.
all of them felt Luke's death, but Anthony felt it so much more deeply because he shared so much with Luke. They came from the same place. They came free at the same time. They learned at the same time from the same people, you
Right.
know, just like another character that I feel that people overshadow is Paul, you know, and his contribution to the forming of their manhood, you know.
Right.
He instilled in them what he couldn't achieve on his own,
I
but he
thought
knew
that
that they would.
I thought that was amazing too, because there was like so for me, having a woman to articulate so well, even the emotional aspect, um, even those degrading moments, right, when they were stripped to be beaten, and listen, when I say even the pussy parlor scenes, right, everything you did. Like what was your inspiration for writing this? I mean, did you have some men in your ear at that moment? How did you really capture the true, authentic character? And listen, without a shadow of a doubt, not one of them could we ever sit there and say, "Yeah, a woman wrote this." Because if you ain't know who Joan was, you think Joan was John, right? Because
And I
yeah.
did
True,
have, I have
very
had
true.
people, approach me, because they thought that I was a man writing under a woman's name.
Hmm.
That, but in writing this series, one of the things I wanted to do was, excuse me, was tell a story that was about black male heroes. And so I had to step away from, like you write something, would Black giggle or would he chuckle? I mean, it's those things. It's the fine points. It's the stuff that gets lost in but it's still the detail. And
Hmm.
so, I had to step away from the female characters so that I could get the male characters right. And it was it was not it was not easy. And when I wrote the first book, I didn't intend for it to be a series, so that
Hmm.
was a little more easy. When I wrote Elbert, it became hard because Elbert had to be different than Black, um, and he had to be unapologetic about his thought process. And
Hmm.
so that was what it was not easy. It was not easy. So how did I do it? Whole lot of DMX.
Woo, baby, right there, right there. Where my dogs
Whole
at?
lot,
You gotta bring it.
Okay,
whole lot of
okay.
DMX. A whole lot of
You
Ti.
better bring it.
Yeah, Ti said,
Listen,
"Watch what you say to me." So,
woo,
you
baby.
know, and it evolved from there. But what was important is that I get the men right, and so I did have a lot of conversation with young men, old men, and very old men to get some perspective. Um, about what they think and what was my perception about what I thought men think and what they
Hmm.
really don't think at all that I as a woman thought they did. And I had to step away from all of that to get the
Yes,
character Black right.
yes.
Well, you definitely got it
You
right.
definitely did. But I mean, and not even just that, right? Let's talk about how you even capture these white men. Okay. EJ, Abe Lincoln. Listen, you had me researching not the names, right? Because it's like I heard that name before. That's how
Right,
that story went.
right.
So I definitely out listen, I was invested. And by the way, that was Alexandria. Alexandra came in here saying, Miss House saying, we got to get you right so you can take care of her.
Right. Because, Alex is my wife. That's what she tells people. That's what we tell
Listen.
people. She's my wife. Let me tell you something. It was interesting to write this story, but EJ, how I got that right was that EJ was a white man practicing white supremacy while benefiting from black love.
Exactly.
Whoo,
And
baby.
you may think that I mean just Nettie, but I mean his love for
Suzanne.
his brother. I
Exactly.
mean Nettie. I
Jeremiah,
mean the fact that
yes.
that Jeremiah's grandmother cared for them both. You know what I'm saying? So um
Hmm.
he, if I had to liken him to anything, I would have thought it would have been Strom Thurmond, preaching white supremacy while putting his black daughter through secretly through college.
You hear me?
A lot of people don't know that story.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you. That's why I fall short on a lot of our history, but I was like, wow, because it just didn't never interested me enough. I mean, in school I read it, and so I have some knowledge of it, but again, we know the text was very limited to what we knew
Right.
about what was real, right?
And these books were a lot of research, and that was why they were, the fort was very difficult to write, because I stepped away from it and gave y'all what I felt was the best I could do as a slight mystery to
Hmm.
show you what they were dealing with. They were still dealing with everyday life, and still trying to maintain freedom, which is not different from black life now.
Ha, come on,
No, it's
come
not.
on, teach us. What I also love, and I told you this when you and I spoke when we were in Clubhouse. Let me tell you the perspective I got from this. And I don't know about y'all, but I've always been the type of black girl that didn't know she was poor, right? I was rich in love when I was coming up,
Right.
but we had our necessities. We got a little extra. I saw these black folks as rich. They had land.
Right, right. But let me say this to you, because I think this is gonna dispel the myth that they were rich. And this is gonna be important to know. It's
Hmm,
not about that they were living rich. It's about that they were, the people in this story, our people, are slaves. And so their work power is harnessed to benefit another race.
that's right.
And so if I build a city and put these characters in them, and they're slaves, and they're carpenters, and they're uh, uh, blacksmiths, and they're farmers, why would the city not thrive the same as it would for white people? So this
Come
is
on.
not a question of them being rich. This is a question of them benefiting. This is what it looks like for black people to benefit from their own labor.
From their own labor. You know what else was beautiful to me? In addition to talking about how they benefit from their labor, it was one of those. They were building a community. They were
Right,
building the community. There was no strife amongst them, right? There was this understanding.
right,
I'm the head nigga in charge.
right,
Y'all respect my rules. I'm gone get the fuck. Gone. There's the gate, you
right,
know. And I love that there was that sense of, how we say can't have all of these, these chiefs. We need some Indians, right?
right,
That's
right,
you showed us what unity was in our race. You showed black power, like Chanel saying, black power. These men were feared. They were feared. And then it was like that sense of who these niggas think they are. Shit, they gonna show you.
Right. Well, I think that what I was attempting to do was again show you a city powered by black labor, where the black people then benefited from that labor. So it's
Hmm.
not really a question of them living rich. It's a question of them deciding that what they put into the earth, they're actually going to use, and they're not
Hmm.
going to allow it to be taken from them.
Okay,
That
let's
was
reap what we sow.
that, yeah, and that is definitely one of the things that the story and black being in charge. When I went to write book two, I was at a crossroads. Do I just tell Elbert's story and leave black in book one, where you only see glimpses of him? And I thought I really should make this the black series and show you how he grows other leaders.
Hmm. That part.
And that wasn't easy because shit,
That part.
I wasn't sure myself. So
Even Albert
I
and
had to
James
figure
had
that
those
part out.
moments. Yeah, when they had those moments of, well, damn, this what it is to be a leader.
Yes.
I mean, the
Yes.
stress on it back, it gave them a sense of appreciation for what he encounters every day. I love how they sacrifice for their women, how protective they were for their women. I mean, protective to a point where it wasn't just I'm gonna protect you. No, I'm gonna show you how to protect yourself.
Right.
I'm raising more than just kids around here. In order to maintain what we got, we all got to pitch in. Everybody had a role, and the respect that was demanded when it came to Sunday. Oh my God.
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons why I had an issue with Callie. Because, I know how y'all say it went, but I'm telling y'all, when Jacoby read it to me, that ain't what I heard.
Right. But the book is meant to, what happens is the book is meant to evoke emotion. And
And it did.
so,
It
and
did.
what happens is sometimes when it evokes emotion, you step away from the fact of the book. because
Ooh.
because both women admitted to manipulating him. But I
Ooh.
tell you, nobody saw that.
Nah.
Yeah, both women admitted to it. That's why he was annoyed. That's why he grabbed her by the chin and squeezed when she
Mm,
made that comment.
mm.
They
I,
both were manipulating him,
Right.
both of them.
And then
They
James
both
called him
controlled
out.
they controlled the narrative.
Right.
that girl stressed me out. I'm
And
sorry.
and and,
Kelly,
and the
I
way I
Kelly
had
look
to
at
let
really,
it,
I had to
Kelly
let
really
y'all
was
get
Alicia,
stressed out.
y'all. She had me so stressed out.
the the,
That she
the
had me stressed out, Joan, because all that anger eating, come on, we got more important shit to take care of than just you and your goddamn Jeremiah. I just,
But it doesn't make sense. This is her partner. Why would you think that she would be okay with him dying?
I don't, but that it wasn't nobody's intent to let him die. Everybody was
Right,
doing
but
the
he
best they
was
could.
dying. But he was dying. And if you go back to book three, you'll recognize that she's recognizing certain things that he doesn't eat, that he doesn't do. It's in book three. They don't know this.
Hmm. Yes.
only two people knew that. Only people that knew he didn't eat meat was his brother, Callie, and
Mm-hmm.
his grandmother and his grandmother. That's it.
Right.
Because
And
that's who
Dr.
had been taking
Schultz,
care of him.
even
Yeah,
though
he
he
noticed
knew
it
it,
too. Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
he still didn't think enough not to feed him different.
Yeah. The broth, the chicken
And
broth.
so you got to think about this, because this is something that nobody seems to get. If you if this is her spouse, why should she let him die so that she could be a player in the group? Why can't he live and she still be a player?
Okay, I can respect that.
And you got to remember there's something else that the readers miss too. What Black said was disrespectful to Sunday when he said, "If I die, don't let Sunday see my body, burn it." That's in the book.
He did. He
And
did.
so you think that Sunday would have been okay with that?
Absolutely not.
No, she would not have.
Absolutely not.
And
Absolutely.
James checked him on that.
Yes, he did.
Hmm.
James
This
checked
is
him
this
on it.
is the funniest part in the book to me. When they call him on, when they call Black on something, they always call him little brother.
Yes. Yeah. Like a reminder. Like, yeah, you running the shit here, but you know
But
this right
you
here.
still our little brother.
That's like,
Right.
let me tell y'all, real talk. And I can feel that too, because as the oldest, I worked with one of my sisters and she was the boss on the job, but I had to keep reminding her, no, this. Like, look, little sister. So yeah, it hit a little different. You be wanting to make sure they know, listen, I get it. I respect your position, but everything ain't gonna fly just because you could let it fly on them. And even the times when he thought he was gonna go into danger by himself, they were like, hell no. I love that. I love them. I say they had his loyalty, they had his respect, and they had his love. They had his back.
Well, they also understood that by keeping him alive, it meant keeping the people alive.
That's right. That's right.
They understood the greatness that was him, but they wasn't afraid of his greatness. See,
No,
that's the difference.
right,
That part.
Like
That part.
when when you- when you're in a when it's a group of men, it's always like everybody be like, "Oh, we all alphas," but there is a pecking order in that group. I don't care what you say, how you look at it. There's always a pecking order, and when you realize that pecking order and you accept it and protect it, then that that group would always succeed because at no point in time, I don't care what's going on, no one should be able to come in between that pecking order and say, "Hey, man, how you feeling about him pulling that?" Like
right,
I
right,
tell my brother this all the time, so he understands. My youngest brother, he live in Atlanta. I tell him this all the time. I say, I'm not calling to check you. I'm calling to check up on you.
right, right,
So he understands that because he does some wild stuff because he wild.
right,
You know, he like a feral dog. And I understand that about my brother. And I love it about him. But I also know that it's my job to ensure that that the world doesn't take control of that. It's not a weakness, but control of that downfall that he has and
Mm.
use it against him
right,
because he can easily slip back into that life. And trust me, no one wants to see that.
right.
So
And
you have to form those bonds.
right. Well, and the other piece to it is that what they were saying to Black is, and this is what Black had a problem with. He didn't want to be seen as better than, but Albert and them, part of their strength was knowing that he was smarter.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That was part of
Hmm.
their strength. And that is what kept the people safe. There were no, the situation was so dire that there were no pissing contests. There was no time for it.
Other than the 18. And the hairpin got him straight, huh?
Right. So I think
Albert,
that's important.
Albert, when Albert told him, say, you look like, you act like, you seem to be one that's gonna need nannying. I'm not gonna nanny you. I'm not gonna babysit you.
Mm.
And that let Simon know, you know, that I'll kill you
But yes,
without hesitation.
Simon had a true understanding of the authority he had. It's like, yeah, so I guess if I don't follow, I don't do, like, you ain't give me options. The first time I met Simon, right? When we as readers, the first time we meet Simon is under this, understanding that there's some beef.
Right, 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 right,
You know, and it's also within that beef. It's because of the disrespect. You
right,
summons me, you nigga, you don't ring no bell and I come running. That's what that was. But yeah, technically he did.
right. He
He
technically
did
did.
summon him. He summons them.
Right.
And he
He
knew he
didn't,
had to
and
answer that bell.
that's why Black said that's why Simon said this ain't no damn invite. If you would have invited me, I would have not come. I
That
was
part.
summoned, and that's why I'm here. So if you don't like my attitude, right? And but the key piece here is that Simon could not see. He had something that Black did not have. He
Hmm.
had a better understanding of the women, but Black had a bigger vision for all the people.
There was.
Yeah.
They couldn't just live at the border. Black was saying we got to be able to put our women and children someplace safe so that we can go help other people. We can't go off and be worried the whole time, right?
Right.
And
Right.
forming the 18 was to say the men that are here will leave you with more men, and we'll take a smaller number that are skilled, and we'll be able to survive and not worry about you. These are things that as a woman I would not think about. Girl, it was charts and all kind of shit in this house. Now so and so went with so and so went with so. I had sticky notes all over the damn refrigerator
I
trying to
like
pair
that.
all of the people
Did you
off.
take pictures?
Well, I would say charts. Like for I don't keep notes, but my charts were important for where they traveled
Yeah.
and the number of people and what groups broke down into what. That's not easy. And for the people who ask me if I'm in the military, no. That's why these books were hard to write.
Let me tell you. You did that. I mean, the research is so evident of the quality of research that you did and the time that you took and emphasis. Because again, there was so much about this. You didn't leave nobody out, right? So yeah, if you were gay, you can relate to that. If there was a story in there for you, right? If you were white, there was a story in there for you if you wanted to do that. There was so
Right.
many different categories. If you into this, you into that. And then we even thought for a minute Simon was down like that. But that to me also was powerful. How this strong woman who had to not, embrace her femininity, right? As a woman, but a warrior.
But that represents metaphorically Black women and this stigmatism that we just have to be strong all the time. That's what Morgan represents. And
Definitely.
so and we're not seen as feminine, not in this society. As feminine as we are, we're not seen as feminine. And so Morgan represents that having to leave her femininity behind in order to survive
Yes. And she
and
did.
still being found attractive by her man because
By her
he
man.
understands the plight of the people.
Exactly. And I think it was also, at least that's the way I took it. I mean, I can't tell an author what it should be, right? But anyway, what I took from that was also that sense of comfort, right? So it's like I saw it as two ways. Number one, her looking like a male versus looking like a female didn't make her the bait, right? When we out fighting, it made the
Right,
guys feel comfortable because again, that question, even though they knew, but again, it wasn't a sense of the boobs hanging out, no distractions. We were all focused, but again, nobody on the outside could use her, being a female and us wanting to protect her against us. But baby, she held on. She
right,
held
I felt she
on.
was the greatest tactician of the whole group.
Yes, when she came to Black with her thoughts, or was it Albert? Was it Albert? It was
Albert.
Albert. It was Albert that she went to, and she was able to give that strategy. And again, knowing how, pretty much to a certain extent, then when hear what women got to say about certain things, because the man will tell you don't know nothing about that. Like we can't talk about cars because we don't know nothing about that. But anyway, That's what they didn't do. But that's what she perceived, right? Because the man will be quick to feel threatened
Right.
by your knowledge.
But
And
it's important
No,
to
not a
recognize.
smart man. A smart man would never
ooh,
feel
come on,
threatened
Aaron.
by his
That's the one.
woman.
That's the one. That's it. That's
A
it.
smart man would never be threatened by his woman's intelligence.
Come
He
on.
would embrace it. No, no. I tell, we had this talks all the time.
Right.
Like when your woman is comfortable enough to come and tell you, did you think that out? Because a lot of times, as men, we want to brute force things,
Yeah.
and it takes a woman to tell us, step back for a moment, collect your thoughts, and come at it from a logical, intellectual standpoint. Because a lot of times, a lot of men think that women are the emotional creatures, but a man that does not control his emotions will destroy the world.
Come on.
Well,
Because when you act emotionally as a man, because of the damage that you can inflict, it weakens the whole fiber of everything that you touch. And it takes a woman to pull you back and say, you you acting like a monster, and you don't have to be the monster this time. You know what I'm saying? And that was depicted in this book on several occasions, especially when Morgan was like, hey, we going about this the wrong way. There's certain things we can do to make them come to us. We don't always have to go to them and
right.
create the battle. They are gonna,
Right.
if we do certain things, they're gonna come at us. And as a man, like you can tell, I'm gonna tell you a prime example of that I've seen in real life with Tabitha Brown and her husband Chance.
Oh, come on. Talk about it.
When they interact with one another, her success does not weaken him.
That part.
He embraces her success because he knows the battles that she's fought. So he's her biggest cheerleader. Men are not scared of all black men are not scared of our black women's success. We are not scared of that. I cannot say that enough. We are not scared of that.
You go back to redefining it the way you did. Smart, confident black men
Yeah. Smart,
are not.
confident black men are not afraid of y'all. We are not afraid of your success. We will help you achieve it. We will celebrate it. We will cheer it on. Because no man wants to think that if something happens to him, his woman is left to the whims of the world. No man wants
I
that.
think that's a great point too, because I always felt like I always saw in the entire series where Black made sure from the moment he decided he was going to take Sunday as his wife, he made sure everything was laid out and everything that Kelly, I mean, Sunday was going to be taken care of beyond, him living.
Yeah. But he didn't want her to depend on no one else though. That's why his first task was to teach her how to read, teach
Mm-hmm.
her how to figure. You know what I'm saying? Teach her how he interacted with the other people of the fort. Like he brought her into the meeting. Because his whole thing was his whole mindset was she's not gonna be weak when it comes to operating this situation if something happens to me.
And
And
made
then he
sure.
made sure she was surrounded by people that can help her.
Yeah, like Morgan being protective of her. I thought that was amazing. Again, speaking to unity, again, community, right, John? having a
Yes.
sister on your side, your sister like, nigga, what? I whip your ass. She ain't got to touch you. And we always talk about that in our books when we find that there's a woman that's going to stand by a woman because, you know, of course, society tells us we got to tear each other down. But
Well, and
one of
I'm
the
gonna tell you something. You make a good point, but I'm gonna tell you something that people don't realize. This series was difficult for a lot of reasons. I, in my mind, if I get you to dislike a character, it means I've done a good job. I don't
oh,
need
yeah,
for a person to like all of the characters. But what is disheartening, if I could speak honestly, when I
please.
when I wrote the book Black, I gotta tell you, I was inbox regularly because people did not because the women didn't like Sunday.
Really? I love Sunday.
Oh yeah, no, no. Yeah.
You know
So
who
I
my
got
beef
a
was with.
lot of I got an inbox from a woman who told me that she didn't feel that Black Sunday was Black's equal, and it just seemed like her breath stank. Nowhere did I write that in the book.
Oh.
So when you talk about Black women supporting one another, that's also an
Mm,
issue. So when I wrote Anna, women did not like Anna because Anna was weak. So it wasn't accepted that she was traumatized. So they didn't like her because she was weak. So then I said, I'm going to write a character who's just as intelligent as Black and let her be female. Nobody likes Callie. You can't win.
not nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
I don't feel
The number of people that like her do not outweigh the people that don't like her. And what is interesting is that when people don't like Callie, all of the same stuff that they're complaining about with Callie
Mm-hmm.
is all of
Was
the
the
same
same.
stuff
They
that other people
complained about
did.
Sunday.
Yeah, well, people didn't like Callie because she was rude to Black. Well, Simon was rude to Black. I get inboxes about how big is Simon's dick. I never wrote that in the book because women like him. No matter that he came and was disrespectful, but for Callie, no, I mean, it's like it's so bad because you have like three women in this series that were badly abused. Callie
Hmm.
is one of them because
She was.
Jeremiah almost choked the life out of her, and she starts off the series being bought by a Black man who is engaging in white supremacy.
that when he choked Callie, that messed him up. And I'm gonna tell you why. When he choked her and she looked him in his eyes and she
Mhm.
welcomed death,
Right.
that scared him.
Of course it did. Because she had already made the decision not to live like this.
She made a choice. She was
Yes,
like,
she made a choice.
I'm not gonna accept the institution of slavery, and I'm gonna keep pushing these buttons until you kill me.
And I think that's the important part. It's fine if y'all don't like her, but it is important for y'all to actually look at the context. She enters the story chained to six men and being purchased by a Black man. This is
Mm-hmm.
abuse.
I'm gonna tell you,
And she's
there
taking a stand against the people that have decided they were going to belittle her.
there were qualities about her in the beginning that I like. I told
Right.
y'all my only beef with her was the moment with Jeremiah dying. Right now, just now for those who that are a fan,
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
good with that. I'm good with that. My only thing was, I think my attitude changed, and I ain't gonna think. I know my attitude changed about her in that moment, and like I said, I felt like it could have been chaotic. And Aaron, I should share with you my details and my perspective of it. And
Right.
but it didn't take away. Like again, it what it did is it made it linger. Right? It had me shit, I was on this was on my mind days after I had read the book. And I'm going back rereading it. And then Joan posted some parts that she highlighted for me to reread. So
And
it
let me
does.
tell you something. I'm not singling you out because
Oh
my
no, no, no,
mother.
no, no, no. I
No, no,
ain't
no.
taking
I'm not
it.
singing you. I'm not singling you out. My mother woke me up to tell me how much she hate Callie. At 2 o'clock in the morning,
Ooh, I
she's
don't hate
test reading for me, and I'm like, "Are you serious? I gotta go to work." 2 o'clock in the my mother had the same thought you had. And no matter what my mother said, I can't do it. So, but I'm just saying, first Sunday was, they didn't like Sunday because she forgave Black too quickly. They didn't like Anna because she was weak. And then they didn't like Callie because she was too headstrong. Like, I couldn't win. I could not win with the
I
women.
think I think when we read a lot, well, I know when we read a lot, we put our personal perspectives in it so much that
Right. Absolutely. You are
we ignore the
absolutely right.
facts that you know the author actually wrote in there, the facts. Because Sandra, who want to call talking about the people that don't like Kelly, don't like Shy. I saw them shots being fired in there. I saw them anyway. You know, we have a habit of taking these stories so personal because we try to find a little bit of ourselves in them sometimes we
Right.
try to make it so relatable, and
Right.
I know as a reader, as a very passionate reader, I'm a very passionate person. I get loud too, and it's never, you know, with rowdiness. It's with excitement and
Right.
enthusiasm and
Right.
being passion. I stand on what I said. You know, that's I'm one of those type of readers. Like I said
Right.
what I
Right.
said, you know, I'm okay with what I said, and you know who don't like it, but I'm also one of those readers that like to be given, you know, a good perspective. Like I've had people to show me, you know what, but look at it like this. So I'm always good, and I'm good for a good lesson.
My
But
mother always tells me to let y'all know what she was thinking. The other thing was the polyamorous scene.
yes.
Girl, I was dozing off 11 o'clock at night. My mother woke me up. That's her thing. She reads late. She's test reading. Woke me up. She said, what kind of foolishness is this? And I said, this is the story, Ma. My mother said, I don't understand it. Why is the Black girl giving the blowjob? I said, okay, I'm not going to discuss blowjobs with
That
you.
was
I'm just
so
not.
Mama said
Yes, she did.
Suzanne
I
could
said,
have
I'm
did
not. I told her, I'm not finna fool with you at 11 o'clock at night. I'm not going to do it.
Oh my God.
To go back on the
Oh Jesus.
people thinking Anna was weak, I, I don't. I think what they missed about Anna's story is Anna was never a slave.
Right.
So she walked around in the world with blinders on.
Mhm.
So when the real world confronted her, she realized how timid she was in the world.
Right.
So her thing was the reason she latched on to Albert was because let's be honest, Albert is that monster.
Right.
Mm,
And she realized in order to survive in this world and not to become a victim, she needed a monster.
Right.
But in the same token, Albert's love for her afforded him the opportunity to be gentle with her. Like like Black said, you're scared of me and you live in the house with the most feared man on the fort.
Right.
Like
Right.
make that make sense.
Right. And you backing away from the, I'm standing here minding my business, you backing away from the thing. Even the doctor was like, listen, we finna tell this nigga that me and you was talking because I'm not finna get my neck stretched.
that part.
Exactly.
Right.
John, you
Right.
can
You
address
know,
this
it was
comment.
a lot of things that like when Albert was had the guy chained up in the yard and the doctor came and sat on his porch. Like the doctor remember how they met.
Mm-hmm.
That's never gonna leave his mind. But he
Right.
also wanted to assure Albert that in all things, I'm your brother and we gonna march at the same beat
That
Right.
part.
and we
That
gonna be in this together. You
there was
know?
so many changes in the dynamic. I mean, people that was, like you talk about Dr. Schultz, how it initially came into fear. This man wouldn't have dreamed of being associated with Black folks. period, let alone working with them, right? But again, to view us in a perspective of being human beings, strong human beings,
Right.
loyal,
Right.
there were so many different lessons that this white man got, and that part is what really kind of jumped out to me. You know, so
Right.
many things within that series you literally can apply to today. Kelly's not
It,
one of them,
it's
but
supposed to be.
Why Callie not one of them?
John told me I couldn't apply her to 2023 type of relationship. She told me I
Wait a
could.
minute. So am I supposed to answer this
Yeah,
question
go
here?
ahead. That's Alicia, so she ain't gonna leave us alone. Let's go ahead and see if you got an answer.
I do have an answer. He didn't like either one of them better.
Ooh, you like
He
that answer?
he yeah, he loved them both.
And that was evident, man. EJ's world
She
was
she
made when
actually
them two
answered
got
that
in
in
the
the book.
bed. Man, I could see the smile on that nigga face. Oh my god, that's
She
so
actually answered that in the book when she said that when Suzanne told Nettie that she couldn't be with EJ without her. She
But I
understood that they needed each other for him
funny.
Well,
because
and
he
I think it's
understood he,
important for y'all because there were people when we got to book 5 who said, "I can't believe you put two men together." I I don't have to spell it out. Suzanne and Nettie are in a relationship separate from EJ.
Okay.
I don't have to spell that out. And
I
some
don't
people
know who
said,
didn't
"You
realize that.
right, you." They said you put gay people in the book. They've been in the book, boo. Abraham
Hmm.
Lincoln was bisexual. They've been in the book. Just because I don't spell it out, the book is not about Abraham Lincoln being bisexual. So there was no reason to bring it up. But Abraham Lincoln himself was bisexual.
Because he kept sneaking out with the captain of his guard.
That's right. He slept every time his wife went away, he slept with the captain of the guard.
You know, Lisa kept telling us that you had hidden stuff in here. What's she talking about, Joan? You ain't share that with us.
Oh, well, there, there's
Let's
Look,
some.
did
start
she
with
tell you?
James.
Wait, let me make y'all laugh. I told y'all how weird I am, and real weird hours in the morning. I was calling, I was leaving messages for, for Lisa, and so there's this part I want to say in book either 4 or 5 where the dude called him Toby, and I said, "Is that cool to keep that?"
Oh my God, no.
So
But
Lisa said, "You know what? I don't know. Joan got all kind of hidden shit up in here." She said,
there is a
"Go
lot
ahead."
of there is a lot of hidden facts in the book because one of the things about writing historical fiction, the key is that the conditions are real even if the story is fiction, right? So Abraham Lincoln, as people said to me they were shocked he was killed. I mean, he was assassinated. Where did you think the story was going?
Hmm.
Right? So Abraham Lincoln being murdered, but Abraham Lincoln was also bisexual, um, and called off his wedding to his wife, and then married her anyway. And he was in love with his cabinet member, Joshua Sneed. Um, so I spent some time reading up about that. The Atlanta Journal Constitution did a spread on outing gay figures from history. Abraham Lincoln was one of them. Eleanor Roosevelt was one of them. There were a few people, and it was a whole Sunday spread for like 2 weeks in Atlanta when I first
How
came.
did maybe how did no one know that
That Abraham Lincoln was
Eleanor Roosevelt
bisexual.
was gay?
Say it again.
How did anyone not know she was gay?
Right, Eleanor, and people also think that Eleanor Roosevelt is named that because she married Teddy Roosevelt, but no, she was his first cousin, so that was already her name,
Oh, damn.
right? And you have 11 presidents that were related to Abraham Lincoln.
Get the
11,
hell out of here.
yes. So, um, I'll put the list out here soon. But so that was one thing that Abraham Lincoln. So when people said, you added these gay men, like the president was seeing men. So it just because I didn't put it in the book doesn't mean that there weren't gay people in the book, right? This is not a new thing, right?
It certainly
So
wasn't. And that's what I
right,
said. It's not as if you took away from the truth.
right,
You
the
gave more life to it, and again, more relatable situations. You connected all of their stories. I think when you and I were talking, I pointed out how what our textbooks told us was one thing, but the story you gave us was what the part that we didn't know about, what was happening behind the scenes, that they
right,
were living, that they were loving, that there was life beyond just the pain that they were experiencing.
right.
And for me, that was the part that I got to embrace. I was excited about reading. I had my doubts. I was like Sandra, I'm like, I ain't reading this while Trump in office. Listen, because I'm
I
gonna
love
tell
it.
y'all something. Being the light-skinned chick, you get slashed from both sides, your dark
Yeah,
skinned folk and the white folks. You
right.
ain't white enough. So trust me. I open my mouth and remove all doubt. But it's just one of those things, y'all, where it's like I'm a mood reader. I'm truly a mood reader. And I would have never wanted to not finish this. Even reading it, I don't think I would have had as much fun with the surprise fact of hearing Jacoby's voice when he read it in the way he. Okay, so I'm again one of those readers that I'm messing up the words.
Right.
I gotta go look up the word and see what it means. But to hear it in context as if it's a conversation and like it's a movie I'm watching, like this,
Right.
because I'm letting it play in my ear as soon as I get up and after I say my prayers, I'm listening to Jacoby, driving to work. I'm supposed to be working, but it's in my ear, and it's like, yep, I might type something Jacoby just said, but it literally has you connecting. And after reading 5 books, that's your cousins.
You know what? When I was when I finished book 3, I was lonely for the characters. And I wrote unfortunately Francine between book 3 and book 4.
Yeah, Chanel said you had audacity.
Right. Um, but so some of the things that people don't know, Fernando Wood is really the mayor of New York City. So I didn't change the character. He is really the mayor. Book 4. So Fernando Wood is the real mayor of New York City at that time. Him and Abraham Lincoln did not like each other. So I used that issue to in order to then further the conflict. The race, the draft riots was something that really did happen. So the orphanage is a real place and was a real place, opened in 1835, closed 1945. Um, uh, so you, of course, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, all of them are real figures in history. And the fort is not a real place, and neither is um, the fort in Montreal. But it occurred to me that Black would expand, and I also did that because I know when he tore down the wall, people were upset. They were worried, and you should have been because you're supposed to have a sense of unsafety while still feeling safe. So that was the reason, and also to leave the series in a place of growth.
Let me tell you something. You could tell them that it ain't real. I know it's real. I got my tub and my cabin picked out. I'm going. Okay. So that's one of my listen. Where's Rhonda and and Glenda? Y'all can go
Right.
and add Canada to the
I
list.
said I said this wasn't real, and somebody said, "What the hell are you talking about,
What
Joan?" I
the
said, "I
hell you
apologize."
mean? Okay.
Right, right. If I had to look at the series, I think the book that was hardest to write was book 5.
What were you sad when it ended? Where like I know you connected with these characters. So did you get to a point where it was like I ain't ready for him to go?
um yeah, I did get there, and like I have a book 6 in my head. I don't know that I'll write it because I want to leave the series where it is because it's in a good place. The
It is.
series is in a place where you begin when Black makes that last statement. The only thing that you should come away with is how life is today.
Yes. Come on. Come on. Like he contributed to that, right? Like
Yes.
it is what it is because he had a role in it. And let us not take away from Mr. Laverne. Listen, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I thought this dude was a straight snake coming there with that queen bullshit. I'm like,
Right.
and then when the white folks was talking about how, they playing them against each other, and I was, that's how rumors get started, right?
Well,
They're
in
hustling.
real life, in real
Yeah.
life, in real life, England supplied guns to the North and the South
Hmm.
to keep the war going. And so when the war finally ended, the United Nations sanctioned in England, and they had to pay a very hefty fine in the 1860s. So they were doing that. So what I did was pull real history. So that's what Lisa means by that.
You had some hidden gems in it. I
What
mean,
about
there was.
James? Who he
James.
Listen,
really is?
the part that really broke me, I cannot lie, knowing that he got beat the way that he did. I listen. I felt that. I felt that. I was very teary eyed. I mean, I'm one of these readers. Like I said, that's my cousin, and
Right.
we family now. So it's like after we didn't came this far, 5 books in. How many hours?
Right.
I mean, weeks and weeks, because this was March through April for me. Um,
Right.
and these readers, they came back in like they had just read it yesterday, and these people that read it a while ago. Lisa could tell you every goddamn thing in the book from the beginning to the end.
I'll tell you, when James was beat, there's also, I'm an artist, and the goal is to entertain and to sometimes upset you and get you attached emotionally so that you're buying into the series being real. What I can tell you, the trick there was simple. The first book was about Black, the second book was about Elbert, and the third book was about James. And so when you get to book 5, you think that there's going to be another person. And because the reader is trying to figure it out, it only made sense that James would then be beat because this is what the reader does not expect.
So, what's the order of your catalog? What came first? Was it introduction?
So I wrote introduction to, so let me start. I wrote Black, actually, let me see, 23 years ago. So I wrote Black in 2000 and couldn't really get, no one was interested. I tried, self publishing wasn't really the big thing that it is now. So when I couldn't get, any of the publishing houses to look at it, I shelved it. Then I wrote Introduction to Love and Self and was happy with the book, but not really because I wanted to write Black. And so for 14 years after that, I held on to the manuscript and then in 2014 decided to self publish it as one book. And so it was Introduction to Love and Self, Black, um, Love in Africa, um, Elbert the Uncaged Mind, James, and then I wrote, um, unfortunately, Francine, and then Anthony, and then The Fort. Right now, I just finished a book called Sedition.
Oh, it's
That
finished.
book, Sedition, takes place in 1925
Ooh, that
in
ought to
Atlanta. Yeah.
that ought to be good. Lisa has a question for you.
Okay.
Did you ever consider making book 3 into 2 books, or felt the story had to go on?
I don't think I was smart enough to make book three two books. It was what was on my mind when writing book three is that in book two, when he shoots James in the face, the reader goes into book three disliking him, which is what I need for you to do because it makes you more emotionally involved when you find yourself starting to like him. So then you're trying to figure out what's wrong with you and what's wrong with the author. But
Hmm.
it would have been a flat character if I would have made it easy for you to just dislike him.
Hmm.
So
Chanel.
it was supposed to, the whole Jeremiah thing was supposed to engage you as the reader and make you rethink, because what happens is by the time you figure out you like him, you're afraid for Black in them to know that you like him.
Hmm. Chanel, I love this comment right here where you're saying her work will basically, her and Jacoby's work with the audibles, but even more so, the written work itself will outlive us all and it'll be a classic. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, this is one of those series you could really get back and reread. I was all on TikTok, and I was like, this chick was talking about some book with a lady on the front that was, she's like, I love historical. Like, girl, you ain't never heard of Joe? Y'all know we about to put up for Joan, right? Y'all know we got to make sure people know this is not a secret we need to keep. Um, Lisa said, tell us why you wrote Unfortunately Francine.
So let me first say that when I ended up sick with COVID, I think one of the highlights of my day was seeing you go live about Cali. You guys just, I was not feeling well. And I mean, I was worn out. And you guys kept me smiling the whole, like I was in there in a coughing fit, just cracking up. Like I could not, you guys just made my day. Um, I want to say back in 2018, um, Indie Love, uh, rated it the best series of 2018. I had never won an award like that, and she had me very emotional because I didn't even know anybody knew about the series. I would just write and put them out, but I wasn't really into advertising, which is probably bad. Um, and but then I was tired and I wanted to write about something else. And someone said, I challenge you to write a character that's like Black, but a villain. I said, I could do that. And that's where Troy came. And Troy also came to give me a break because I like book three is 529 pages. I have people that read that in two days
Baby,
and
let me tell
said,
you something.
"Where's the next book?" And I'm like, "You reading it on Kindle, but you don't realize it's 529 pages."
And they get on my nerves because let me tell you something. I'm a slow reader, okay?
Uh
First of all, I got to digest this.
huh.
And I'm a reader that likes to engage others when I read.
Right.
So Allegra used to really probably be annoyed with my
Right.
and let me tell you, I like spoilers. So again, she's a fast reader. Her and Joss, right? I'm in their inbox, I'm texting them, I'm emailing you. They don't tell me shit. So I don't talk to them no more when I read because they so disrespectful with it. Because I'm like, I gotta go to people I know that's gonna give me a little something. That's fun to me. But anyway, I respect it. There's a question that's being asked: will the audiobooks be available outside of Audible?
Right now, Audible has the rights to them for about 7 years, so maybe they will. I did these books myself, so I'm I this was a production that I did. A lot of people don't know this, but I heard Jacoby read a book a while ago, and I thought maybe if I could get him to read this series, because this is all independently done. Um, and so I was a little nervous to contact him because I didn't think he would. And so for 3 years, I, kind of circled the fence about whether I was going to ask him because I thought he was going to say no. So then he said yes, and then sent me a note and said I would like to do the whole series. And
Ooh.
so that when he said that, I had not written book 5 yet. So I was in the throes of writing this book that I'm writing now that I just finished, and I put the book down so that I can write book um, 5. I gotta say, what he did with the work, I didn't see it coming. Like
Hmm.
I knew he was great, but I still did not. It was so cinematic, right? I
It
don't
really
really,
was.
yeah. I don't listen to the series though. No, no, I don't listen to the series. I listened to it when he first got it back to me so that I can go through it, but on a whole, I don't listen to the series. Um, and the reason being is that um, my brain is always on the next thing. So to try to, and and also it's weird hearing your work.
Really?
It is weird. Um,
So, oh, wait. So now we got to help you to get over that because what happens when it's gone to the screen? You know, this is going to be a movie.
well, and I think about that a lot. People approach me. We haven't gotten there yet. I would like. I've been approached several times, but I would like for the series to be well done. I would like for black men to be well depicted, and so
Ooh,
I
ooh.
don't want to just make a movie.
Listen, and I got some character lineups, and I ain't good with names, but I know faces. You know,
Mm,
your boy, Rose with the scar on his face. I forget his name. Amistad, I think was the movie he
yes,
played in.
but
Yeah.
he's in his 50s now. He can't
What?
be black.
What?
Yeah,
We
he's
need
in,
to we need
black
to
is
rebuild these
28.
black men.
Black is 28, and your wife. The
Ooh.
whole thing is just, you know, the whole thing is just the series was a big deal for me. But I will say this: when I went through the series, because of course, when Jacoby sent me the series, I think another reason is that he makes me cry because I did not expect that level of greatness with the way that he depicted each character. I
Yeah.
didn't expect that, and so
Even the
there,
women. I mean, you
yes,
heard it's like you were really listening to different voices.
yes, you
I knew
forget
Big
it's just
Mama. Big
him.
Mama didn't sound nothing like Sunday,
Right, right, right. You
and
forget
the
it's
white
just
folks
one
didn't sound.
person.
Baby, when he did Laverne's voice, listen, you couldn't have told me he wasn't from from
Right,
London. Like you said,
London town. Yeah,
Sean is asking, do you think the Black series would be a good film or television? Would you
I think it.
embrace it?
I think it would be better for television because there's too much to put into a
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they would definitely shorten it. And I would be so offended.
Well, and you know what? When I was writing book 5, I kept thinking to myself, why am I still writing? Why is the book not? And Alex said to me, because you done went and built a whole nother fort. What the hell? And I remember Jacoby said, like, you worked the hell out of me. Because there was,
Man.
I mean, he had to do voices. And I mean, you know what I thought was the best voice? Big Mama. I told him, I said,
Yes.
it's like you know my grandmother. He sent me a message back and said, why does your grandmother sound like my grandmother?
Because that's how Big Mama's is. Black
Right.
excellence, y'all. That's what I experienced in all of Joan's book. As I mentioned to y'all earlier, I just finished. I did Loving Africa was my first introduction to your work. And I was like, oh, there's some good shit here, right? And then I did do okay, so I did unfortunately Francine in the midst because I had gotten the book too. And Lisa was like, here, take a break, do this one. And I did, and I'm glad I did because I get crazy and
Right.
look, y'all. I was supposed to be taking my lunch break, and I didn't even eat that day. And Kelly was on my mind so much. Nah, that's why I had to go live. I was like, I said we was gonna talk that night. I was like, nah, the hell with this. I need to get it off my chest.
I loved it. I'm gonna tell you, I loved it because you made a point earlier that I meant to grab onto. You want this to linger, even if it hurts
Absolutely.
your feelings. You want it to
Absolutely.
linger so that the people will think about. Because the hard part about this series was keeping up with all of these side stories. Because in this instance, I'm telling you about a city.
Yes.
I'm not telling you. So in telling you about a city, it's 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 a little harder because you're trying to keep up. So by the time we get to book 5, people don't really realize that they don't know nothing about Virgil until
Hmm.
I start telling you something about
Okay. We were all tripped out about that.
him.
It took Alicia to act a fool. Say, Virgil, say it ain't so. But okay, so when we got to Atlanta, which when I say that was some crazy shit, and I was with you, Earon. I mean, there was a lot about Troy that I felt like, yeah, this brother when he basically was telling Fran that I'm not going to jail for you. I knew that there was some trauma right off the bat.
Right.
And a black man being a hero, I don't give a damn what you have and haven't done. That ain't always they've been tied his ass to the shit, right? And so it turned out to be a beautiful love story, but it that type of dark romance, I was still like, who this nigga think
Let me
he
tell
is?
you something. The things that you say to me, my mother always tells me, please let the person who agrees with me know that I think the same thing. So my mother had this thought process. We fought about it the whole time I was writing this book. But what is interesting, let me give you some facts. So there was a story that I was reading. I was reading an article in and I can't remember what paper. But what happened was there was a young man in New York City who had just been released from jail, and he had done 27 years, and they released him on probation, and he went and got a lawyer and fought the city of New York and
Mm-hmm.
won, and the city ended up paying that year. New York City. This was in 2015. New York City paid $58.3 million in damages from one white cop arresting people.
Hmm.
And so Troy really represents what black women deal with when
Hmm.
black men are lost in this country. and not respected. We're dealing with mass incarceration and several other things that makes it difficult. This country sets black women and black men against each other. This is systemic. And so Troy represents overcoming that, right? Because he's spending time in jail. So he's been locked up for 7 years with other men. There's nothing about him going to be worth living with. It would have been unrealistic to write it any other way.
Because you got to look at when he went to jail.
Right.
He was just figuring out his. He was just figuring out his masculinity.
Right.
Like I wish more men would come in these groups and really have a heart to heart conversation and really talk about what they experience.
Right.
So from 16 to 23 years old, you're just learning your masculinity and how to control it. You know, from 25 to 30, you're just gaining that control. From 30 to 35, you're realizing that I don't have to control everything to be a man.
Right.
You know, and when you realize that and you look at Troy, he was like his growth was stunning because when he went to jail, all his masculinity was stripped from him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, because now you got a man, you got another man telling you when you gonna eat, when you gonna sleep, when you gonna shit, everything.
Right.
You
And
know, and a
that
lot of
and
times
that
for
was
black
important.
men,
Right.
they're left there by themselves. Their families disconnect from them while they're in there.
Yeah.
You know, and I can speak on that because that was my youngest brother's plight.
Plight.
Like I was in the army, my other brother was in the army, my sister was in the army, my other brother was in the army, my other brother was on drugs. So he basically was left to fend for himself, and then he tried to do that, and he wound up going to jail.
Right.
You know, and he spent 16 years in there.
And I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot you can't get back, and it's so interesting when Obama goes to California and changes the law because black people are doing 10 years for 3 crack vials, while
Hmm.
white people are doing 2 years for cocaine.
Hmm.
It's not different. It's a
The
it's
math
a
ain't
yes,
mathing.
right. And so when writing this story, I'm picking, and this particular cop in New York was still collecting his pension, even though they had 9 overturned cases of his.
Google how
And
much your
when you
city.
interviewed the cop, he didn't care. Like, so what?
Exactly.
So that was one thing. So in writing this story, unfortunately, Francine, what you saw is that he was never who he was. He was forever who he was when he got out of jail. He was forever an ex-con, even though he had better opportunities. What he did was think to himself, I'm not going to be able to get this time back. So what I might do is try to help younger men, and that may be a way for me to recapture time, right? But he's he's not, and so for people who wonder, did he really save her? The truth is, his real shame was not in saving her. This is back in the prologue. His shame is that when he saw her get snatched in the van, he actually considered driving in the opposite direction.
Hmm.
That was his real shame,
Imagine that just to save himself, right?
just to save himself.
That part. That
Yeah,
part. Every last book that I've read, because I ain't wrote no book, y'all. But every last one of your books that I've read, I find gems in them. I find purpose in them. I find lessons and blessings and messages in them. And they're so empowering to our race, to our culture. You know, it has this perspective of lessons that we need to receive today, right? You need to understand the sacrifice for every situation, right? The outcome.
Right.
I got so many messages from this. Like I said, I just finished Introduction to Love in 7 story. I don't know how many of y'all they read that one. But Seven and Lisa encounter each other in childhood. And what I love about their story, again, it was another lesson for me. You can't judge people for first off, what you don't know about them, even your own parents, right?
Right.
Meeting them where they are, loving them in spite of,
Right.
not knowing her story, not knowing the hurt that she experienced, the reasons, the whys, right? In our mind, we just want to judge. We just want to classify. Nah, you foul, you dirty. I gotta see this, da 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 da. But you have no idea the trauma and the pain that's tied into them as a human being.
Right. And that was what, and I think the reader is supposed to start off disliking him, but I think the reader is in.
7?
No, I was thinking of Troy.
Oh,
uh I'm sorry, I skipped books. But you know what, I was still stuck in Troy. But I wanted to tell you this. I think the reader, when you're reading Unfortunately Francine, they're 3 chapters in and still don't understand what's happening. They're going through all their stereotypes. Either he's a drug dealer, either you have to go through those things because you're trying to figure out the book. Seven and Lisa, I gotta tell you, when I wrote that book, I think I was annoyed that I wasn't strong enough to write black. I had felt defeated, and I was measuring what black America would find entertainment as entertainment by a white ruler.
hmm.
And so I did not think that y'all would like black. And so when I wrote the book, I leave it up because it was my first attempt. I leave it up the way it is, and everybody keeps telling me to come back and redo the cover. And so, excuse me, Tina and I are working on that. But this particular book was just meant to be a love story. Something, and I'm gonna tell you, when I went through the company, I went through iUniverse, which is a self-publishing company, so I could figure out the process. I actually got an email from them that said it was unrealistic for her to be a virgin.
Hmm.
I said to myself, you just really don't know black women.
You really don't know us.
Why was it unrealistic for her to be a virgin though?
Well,
Hmm.
when I responded to the email, he didn't respond to that question. And so it was rough going.
And it
It was,
tells you a lot about what they think of us.
yes.
It tells you a lot. And I mean, had he really read the whole Black series, most of those women, the greatest reward in saving themselves, right, for the men that they ended up with. But yeah, there's so much more, and we could literally be here for hours, y'all. But first of all, I want to say to you, bravo on such a well done job on just being amazing, being fantastic. I am so grateful that Lisa made sure we got into your catalog. I'm basically going to make sure I address some of these questions in the comments, but you basically, to me, you are what Black excellence is when it comes to writing our story and understanding from then to now. Like, it's like, okay, this is where we began, now here we are now. That's kind of how your writing is, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I am looking forward. You have a fan in BSB.
You know
You
what,
can.
you guys, let me tell you something. I would be on the phone with Alexandria House, and we would just be going through your comments, cracking up. Like, I've said it over and over again, but it was just wonderful to read the comments. And when you went live, literally, I was going through a coughing fit because I was cracking up. Like, those are the moments that authors, uh, when we get those moments, they mean so much, for a group to talk about your work, for them to laugh. Somebody, the first of all, the gifts were, somebody had a gift where where Callie was looking crazy because they thought Jeremiah. Listen, I saw that. I was cracking up. Listen. I had to send Lisa a message. I said they gonna kill me. I can't even. They are going to kill me. And you know, I don't even know the words, but when you say thank you to me, I really owe y'all a thank you. One, Earon is always Johnny on the spot to have something
Always.
wonderful to say. And before I can even pinpoint the answer, he said, "Oh no, but that's in the book." That is always, it just makes my heart squeeze. And then um, just being out there and looking at the comments and Joss and them making me uh, series of the year in 2018. And at that time, there were only 3 books in the series.
How about that? How
So
about
I
that?
want to say thank you to everybody and thank y'all for showing up and just being reading my work all month long. It was just too much. I
Yeah,
I
last two
needed it.
months.
I
The
needed it.
last 2 months. This was such a joy. It really was. Lisa, this is a great question. Was it your goal to be a historical writer? And would
No.
you write anything in our current time period? That's a good question.
So I never considered myself a historical writer. I just wanted to write the one book and it unfolded, right? And then I am considering writing a love story. And I think I'm going to title it Sweet Honesty. And it
Ooh.
was supposed to take place in 2023. And then Alex went to whining, so I'm back in 1940. So, uh, so she said, "You need to write this story in 1940." So the title is Sweet Honesty, and you know, I didn't I didn't went back to the last century, so we'll see. Um, I do want to write a story from this time because even unfortunately Francine is really historical. 1995 is almost 30 years ago.
Yep, that is history, y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Thank you. That's right, y'all. I'm with you. This has been such a good time. So, Sean, I like this question. Who are some authors that you read or have read where you enjoy their work, Joan?
Um, Let me think about it. Of course, Alexandria
Of
House,
course.
Kennedy Ryan. Um, Let me think here. I did a stint where I was reading. This was just last year. Children's stories, and I was reading Beverly Cleary, uh, Judy Bloom. Let me think. Um, Shoot, gosh. Most of the reading I do is really for research. So I ended up reading The New Jim Crow. So I I don't get to read the kind of stuff I want to read because I'm having to research. Uh, the color of law. That's the stuff I get stuck reading. Um, where Abraham Lincoln was born, that kind of shit. Um, and and somebody, interestingly, that you would ask me that, I did not know Alexandria House. One of the readers who read Black said, "Would you please read Alexandria House?" And I said, "I'm in the throes of writing a book," and so they gave me Them Boys. I ended up reading that shit, and I was all beat up. Then they gave me Kennedy Ryan. I was all beat. My daughter is in here reading Kennedy Ryan now, and she going through it. I can't get shit done because she's going through it. I got to text Kennedy and be like, "This is ridiculous. My house is turned upside down." So I don't get to read a lot. Uh, Alexandria is pushing me toward mysteries now. So
Ooh.
we'll see if I get into that. Now, what I will tell you is, um, for a long time, I read very bubblegum romantic novels, stuff that would make you roll your eyes. I love those. I read Lavero Spencer, because you got to remember when I was coming up and really, really reading, there were no black authors. What these young women are doing now is groundbreaking.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
romance, there was no black.
Yeah.
When you see the Christina C. Jones and the Robbie Renee's, this is groundbreaking because
Yeah.
I was in love with romance, and all there were white romance. So I end up reading Them Boys, and I actually I read Them Boys, and when I finished with
Woo,
Them Boys.
that child. Woo.
I went when I finished with Them Boys, I sent Jacoby a message and said, "Will you please read Unfortunately Francine?" Because I was never gonna bring that book up on Audible.
Baby. We so glad you did. We so glad you did. Everything about your writing has been amazing. And I have truly, truly enjoyed it. I look forward to supporting you going forward. As I stated to you before, you have a fan club base over at BSB, and between Earon and Lisa, child, that's our experts. They're gonna clear it all up for us. So when you
Aaron is
ain't in there,
wonderful.
you know you being represented. So if ever you need to take a social media break, just know we got you.
Yeah, I
We got
appreciate
you.
all of you. I really
We
do.
got you. Again, I want to say thank you. I want to thank all of y'all. Y'all, it's been an hour and 45 minutes. And listen, this number has stayed at 24:25. This is amazing. And I thank y'all so very much for showing up and showing out tonight. My sisters Tara and Allegra, who weren't able to join us in conversation tonight. Allegra's at Jazz Fest back home. And Tara says she doesn't like spoilers either as much as I do. So she's almost done. So she said Earon can take my spot. I said, great,
Right, good stuff.
this will work. So this has
Thank
been
you.
awesome. Earon, I thank you because Lisa told me she had a hard time getting you. I was like, nah, my brother.
Wow.
he, he
I'm
came
gonna
roll
do
with
better. I promise y'all, I'm gonna do better.
us. Yeah, he's gonna be home more, y'all. So we can
Oh
wind
yeah,
him
most
up.
definitely.
We can wind him up. Thank y'all again, Joan. Thank you. You hang around. And guys, thank y'all for the night. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and we'll talk to y'all later. You guys stay around.
All right. Thanks a lot.